Is this how Yami actually arrived to the Clover Kingdom? And is this the real reason why he has never returned? It's simply because he can't? I think the Land of the Sun exists in a different world, a different universe. And in Norse mythology, Vanaheim is the realm of the Vanir gods who are often tied to the sun and light. Yami's from the Land of the Sun. Does this add up? Let's get into this theory, guys. Hey everybody, welcome back to the video. This is Broku. Today we have another Black Clover theory. Thank you guys so much for all the support. We've blown past 45,000 subscribers. Now we are surging toward 50,000 subscribers. Now my goal is by the end of 2021, by the start of 2022, to have 100,000 subscribers. We're on our way there because we're averaging more subscribers per day than we need so far. So please subscribe if you are new and turn on notifications. Also guys, you guys are pretty much killing the like goal as of late, so we're going to raise this like goal to 2,000 because this is a crazy theory video that I have not seen anybody else talk about. So that being said guys, we're going to kind of get into it, but first join my Discord. That'll be linked below in the description if you want to talk about Black Clover or other things. I get in there every day and I get into VC a couple times a week usually. And also guys, just going to give a little more hype for my book coming out. It's called Sigurd Rising, part of the Serpent Slayer sagas. That's going to be out in the next few weeks, almost done with it. And there will be a free audiobook on this channel, so if you don't really have the money to spend, it will be a completely free audiobook on this channel. That being said guys, let's finally get into it. Now, from what we know, Yami belonged to a family of fishermen in a nation known as the Land of the Sun. While working on the fishing boat, Yami would be shipwrecked by an incredible storm, eventually wash up to the Clover Kingdom. Yami would eventually grow incredibly strong thanks to his immense amount of mana, dark magic, and his limitless physical strength, eventually working up his way to not only becoming a captain of the Magic Knights and leader of a brigade, but becoming likely the strongest captain in the series. But this begs the question, why hasn't Yami returned to his homeland? Not even once. Yami can fly incredibly far distances at incredible speeds, as while not even at full power, he traveled from the Golden Dawn base to the Clover capital in seconds. Why hasn't he attempted to return? Even if he couldn't travel the full distance, there are boats, and even should be boats that are amplified by magic within the series. He would have the money to do so. We know that being a Magic Knight is a prosperous job. We know the higher rank you are, the higher salary you make. Yami, in theory, then should have enough money to return home, even if just for a visit, because he is a captain. It's the second highest rank in the military. But he never has. There are even spatial mages in this verse, and if you just had a combo spell, you should be able to easily form a group of mages he could hire, yet he still hasn't returned to his home country. I think the reason for this is because he simply can't return. I believe that the nation of the Land of the Sun and the Clover Kingdom exist in separate worlds, realms, or universes. Well, then this obviously begs the question of, if the Clover Kingdom and the Land of the Sun are in different realms, then how did Yami even arrive to the Clover Kingdom in the first place? Well, I'm going to bring in Norse mythology into this once more. There actually is an explanation for that exists within the myths. Now, we already know that William's Yggdrasil net can connect to other realms, as when paired with dark magic, it links to the underworld and allows for devils to come in. Now, in the mythology, the Yggdrasil is attached to every single realm and pretty much everywhere, and when manipulated, people can travel between them. To circumvent having to use the sacred Yggdrasil, the gods used the magical pathways called the Bifrost, which also connected the realms and could be traveled in a more direct way, simply just by walking over it. So the gods would freely use the bridge to connect to the other worlds. Unfortunately for our chatty god of thunder, Thor, he was too heavy for the bridge, and the heat emanating from his lightning filled his body. It was too hot and threatened to melt the bridge by walking over it. So he had to travel the realms through alternative means. He would need to swim through the oceans, as in some portions of the sea, there were magic channels spawned from the Yggdrasil that allowed him to travel the realms. There were even some Icelandic sagas where the seafaring Vikings were shipwrecked due to a storm of thunder and lightning and washed upon foreign lands. The thunder and lightning made them think that Thor was near with them, and when they stepped foot on the new land, they believed they had been directly teleported to Asgard. Now, what if when Yami shipwrecked, it was mixed into the magic channel, spawned from the Yggdrasil, and transported him to the Clover Kingdom? This is why Yami has never been able to make it back. and it could explain why he has a power that is to himself, ki. Now we do know that Veto apparently has ki as well, but this could go along the lines of one of my other theories. The elves were summoned to Midgard by humans using world tree magic paired with light magic, the light magic connecting to the realm of the light elves, Alfheim, and thus summoning their saviors. That's in my last theory video. Veto is an elf, and maybe he was able to learn ki from his tie to what the elves have and accessing other realms. Now, as for what realm Yami is exactly from, I have a bit of a theory. So Yami's land is called the Land of the Sun, and there's a realm in the Norse myths that can connect to the realm that is called Vanaheim, the home of the Vanir. The Vanir are essentially one of the three main tribes of gods in the Norse myths, the others being the Jotun, otherwise called the Giants, or the Aesir, which are gods like Odin and his ancestors from his father's side. The Vanir are the third tribe of gods that have little known about their realm and why they arrived, but in the myths, they warred with the Aesir for a long time. Despite being outnumbered by the Aesir, and on average the Aesir being more powerful, it was Freya and her sorcery alone that caused a stalemate, though peace would eventually arrive between the tribes, and they would eventually morph into one with the families mixing. Interestingly enough, many of the Vanir gods are sun gods, or heavily tied to the sun, and are beings of gold, which also heavily tie to the sun as well in many myths. For example, Freya, her son with Odin would become Balder, the god of light. Frey had a sword of light that he would simp away for a giantess to marry. Yes, he gave up his sword to a giant to marry another giant, and he would never be killed by his own sword on Ragnarok. That is the ultimate simp right there. So Vanaheim is essentially the realm of the sun gods in Norse mythology, and Yami is from the land of the sun. What if Yami is actually from Vanaheim? Maybe Tabata will turn Vanaheim and the overall realms into a multi-pantheon existence, and Vanaheim will be home to the Japanese sun god of Amaterasu. Now, it is quite interesting that Yami just so happens to traverse to the Clover Kingdom on accident, while being an arcane dark magic user, being the exact piece of the puzzle needed when paired with William and his Yggdrasil magic to open the Tree of Cliffoff. I find this theory rather interesting. While it is possible Yami just had simply no interest in returning to the Land of the Sun, I feel like that isn't in his character. The Black Wolves are one big family who seriously care and look after for each other. Yami is the head of that family who leads them and gathered them together in the first place. It's hard for me to see him just not going back to at least visit with his family occasionally, or even bringing them to the Clover Kingdom, as while he is a foreigner, he's a captain, he's got high status now. Unless if he just simply can't go back to the Land of the Sun because it exists in a different realm. Now, of course, Land of the Sun doesn't have to be Vanaheim. I know it's supposed to be Japan. I mean, it's called the Land of the Sun. There's Ki, which is a parallel to Chi from Japan. He uses a katana, which is a Japanese weapon. He uses clothing that looks Japanese. He even looks Japanese himself. So, obviously, he is supposed to be from, essentially, Japan. So I'm not saying that for sure it has to be this Norse Vanaheim, but what if Tabata goes in the way that he turns Vanaheim, which is the realm of the sun gods, into Japan? That would be an interesting way to tie together the mythologies. He's already is doing it. There's a lot of Norse, Greek, and Jewish mythology references in this series. It's already basically combining them. What if he just added the Japanese to it? That would be interesting and would make sense. I mean, this is a Japanese manga. Adding in Japanese gods and stuff like that is probably going to be a pretty good idea overall. And even if it isn't Tabata morphing the mythologies together, it can just be Yggdrasil connecting to other realms that exist outside of the realms of Norse mythology, possibly reaching into other universes or even multiverses that extend of what we thought were beyond its branches. So that is kind of it and overall for my theory of why Yami cannot return to his homeland. It might possibly be that the storm led him to a magic channel within the sea that transferred him to a completely different universe or realm, and that's why he cannot go back to the Land of the Sun. It explains why he looks so different from everybody else, and it explains why he has Ki, which is completely different from everywhere else, even though you should be able to go to different lands in Black Clover because of magic mixed with technology. If Land of the Sun is in a completely different realm, it makes so much sense for why it's so different. With that being said, guys, let me know your thoughts on this video down below. Why do you think that Yami has not returned to his homeland? And if so, do you think it might possibly be because of the Yggdrasil's magic channels within the sea that teleported him to the Clover Kingdom? Let me know your thoughts down below. Leave a like if you did enjoy. Again, let's shoot for 2,000 likes, because I thought this was a very interesting theory that I've not seen anybody else talk about when tying this to Norse mythology, as it provides a very easy explanation and would be an interesting thing, because if Yggdrasil is the one that teleported him to the Clover Kingdom, it adds with him another tie to William Vengeance, as William Vengeance has World Tree Yggdrasil magic. Please subscribe, guys. Trying to hit 50,000 subscribers soon, and then 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Also, follow my Twitter, link below. Join my Black Clover Discord called Cloverheim. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Plus...